You're
in
gonna
real
get
life, if you're fighting against someone that has a knife, you're gonna get stabbed.
Yes.
You're gonna get stabbed at best, and at worst, you're gonna get murdered.
Hi, I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Charlie, and little Milo over here.
This is Milo. And welcome to Outsmarting the Shadows, where we help you survive horror movies.
That we do.
So, this evening, in our month-long celebration of October, we are going we're going through one movie every single day.
And what's today's movie?
Today's movie was Totally Killer.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, this is my favorite movie yet.
Yeah, it's a really fun horror movie.
So I think that you and I kind of, we have a great affinity for science fiction and fantasy. And in particular, there's something that we love about what we call timey-wimey stuff. Maybe it stems from Doctor Who, maybe it stems from Star Trek. I don't know what it is, but anytime there's any time travel in anything, we love it.
Yeah. And this particular movie, it wasn't really scary. It was more kind of like a slasher
mystery.
Horror comedy. It had a little bit more comedy than horror, and kind of like a slasher reminiscent of the 80s slasher movies, kind of like Friday the 13th, but not all that scary, if you will.
Yeah, it felt like a modern, almost like quirky, sardonic retelling of an 80s classic horror.
Kind of like combining Back to the Future with Friday the 13th.
Yes.
But a little bit more funnier.
With a little bit
lot
more
less
humor.
horror.
Yeah, well, there was a ton of blood and gore in this.
There was gore,
But it
and
wasn't-
there was a point where you were like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "What's happening?" You're like, I am scared."
I got scared during one part, but if I only get scared in one part of a movie, it's probably not that scary.
Yeah, it wasn't that scary, but it's a good horror movie.
I really recommend it. I think everyone should watch it. So, without further ado, our favorite part, spoiler alert.
Yes, spoilers. We're gonna spoil the
We're going to
the whole
spoil
movie.
the whole movie.
The movie right now is in Amazon Prime. Is a Prime film, so you can go Amazon Prime, stream it, watch it, and then come back.
If you have Amazon Prime, this is a perfect movie for a group of friends. If you have older kids, I think it would be a really great movie to watch with the family as well. I cannot say enough about this movie. So go watch it. In 3, 2, 1, you're back.
They're back.
You're back. So you've watched the movie. You understand the joy that we've experienced.
Yeah. But if you have it, then we're gonna spoil it.
We're gonna spoil it for you.
Okay.
So this movie, it does start pretty strong, but it doesn't start horror movie strong.
No.
Which is good. I think
It starts comedy strong.
it starts comedy strong. At first, there's the main character, Jamie. We get introduced to her. She's a teenager. And we know that they're in this little town. There were 3 murders that happened back in 1987.
And we know because there's the exposition of the guy that has a podcast.
He has a podcast, which of course we were like,
oh my god, it's a podcast about horror movies. And he has this podcast kind of telling about these 3 murders that happened in 1987.
yes, right around Halloween, and it's almost Halloween, so it's really cool.
The one happened when one of the girls turned 16 and she was stabbed 16 times, and then 2 days later the other one was killed and was also, so all the girls are stabbed 16 times.
Yes, they're sad, and they're all 16 years old. Then we fast forward to our well, we don't yet. Okay, one of my favorite scenes is when the podcaster, he is taking his audience on a tour of the town.
Audiences that are dressed as the killer.
The killer.
Because the killer, he has a particular mask.
Yeah.
Which I enjoy that they're kind of like creating a new intellectual property of kind of like this mask, probably to do. Well, they're not going to be doing more, I think, because unless they do some timey-wimey stuff where she changed the future and there's kind of like a similar serial killer or copycat.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
I would be down for a sequel to this. Because it was just so much fun.
Yeah.
So
he's taking them on a tour.
He's taking them on a tour, and It's so funny that like this pizza lady's like, "Do you want some pizza?"
Right?
Like right in the middle of her
Yeah,
tour.
because the house was turned
The
into
house
kind of
turned
like
into a
pizza
or a
place
burger
or a
place
burger
or
place,
whatever.
something like that.
It
Yeah.
was really cool. So then we fast forward and that's when we meet the main character,
Hmm.
Jamie.
Yeah.
So Jamie is a teenager. She's 16
Hmm.
and she's got this, mother-daughter relationship, very typical teenager relationship with her mom, where like she stole her jacket and her mom's like, if you're going to take my stuff, at least treat it well. And her parents are adorable.
Right.
They're so cute.
Which her dad, I immediately remembered him from the guy from the Scary Movies.
Yes.
Scary Movies franchise. I forget the actor's name.
Yeah. And so I actually couldn't remember where either of them I had seen them, but the mother is from Modern Family. From
Oh yes, the wife in Modern Family.
Yeah.
I saw a little bit of that show, but I don't know none of the characters.
It was really cool. So we fast forward to Jamie's about to leave the house. She's just leaving without her parents' consent, basically. She just decides to go.
I'm going on for a concert for this guy,
Right.
which is a guy that she knew and her mom dated when they were in high school.
Yeah, her mom knew this guy and dated him a little bit in high school, and she's like, I can't believe that you like that guy.
Yeah, I kissed him in high school.
I kissed him in high school.
And she's like, well, he's cool now. He's flipping,
he's flipping all single-use plastic.
Right, single-use plastic.
It was really cool. So, anyway, she's leaving the house, and I kind of got the sense that the parents were just typical suburban parents, but that they taught their daughter really well.
Yeah. Because she's basically freaking out because she's leaving on Halloween, even though Halloween for her is, it brings back all the memories of her friends because her mom's friends are the ones that were killed.
They were murdered
in 1987.
Yes, and so subsequently she's taught her daughter self-defense.
Yeah, self-defense.
She's given her a rape whistle.
Pepper
given her a pepper spray.
Even a
healing crystal.
Yeah, a crystal that wards off evil spirits.
Yeah, and like.
But then even then, her daughter is she's really mean towards her.
She is.
And in this part, I was like, Jesus, this kid, she needs a slapping.
She does. She's really disrespectful to her parents.
At least be grounded for a couple of weeks and not let her go to the.
Not let her go to this concert after she treats them.
Yeah,
like
she
that.
basically tells her, I wish you would just get over it because your friends were brutally murdered 30 years ago.
What a horrible thing to say to your parents.
Right.
But the characters for me quickly recover because she's just such a great character, but she is terrible in that scene.
Yeah.
So she goes out and to meet friends, and then there's trick-or-treating.
Mm-hmm.
And the mom is there. The dad has taken the daughter to go take her to her friends.
To go to the concert.
To go to the concert. And she sees her friend's mom is leaving. Her name is Loretta.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to double check that.
Yeah, I don't remember her name.
Yeah, so her name is...
So while the dad...
Lauren.
Lauren. While the dad leaves, she's just, giving candy to trick-or-treaters in the house.
We have to say that at this time, so Lauren works at a warehouse, at a manufacturing plant, and she goes, well, the plant doesn't care that it's Halloween, because the dad's like,
what are you doing tonight? It's like, she's I'm going to work.
I'm going to work.
Because I work at night. Because manufacturing plants don't care about Halloween.
Come here, baby, you're going to fall. You're going to fall. So that is important for later to know. So the mom is giving out trick-or-treater candy, and she sees a couple of people, and then this guy shows up who looks like the killer that killed her friends, and he doesn't have any children with him at all.
What is it that they call the killer? The Sweet 16 killer?
The Sweet 16 killer.
Something like that. I don't remember correctly.
So, in my opinion, I think that trick-or-treating is wonderful. I love it to death. And there's a lot of great neighborhoods around here, and I think it's wonderful. But if an adult man comes to your door dressed in a mask, and he's all alone, and you're all alone.
Trick-or-treating by himself.
Trick-or-treating by himself.
Don't open the door.
I would not open the door. I'm sorry.
Survival tip number one for this movie.
Number one. I don't know. My friends were murdered back in 1987.
Right.
it just wouldn't.
But from here on out, this lady, she does everything right.
Oh my God.
She turns
She's
into Rambo.
Yes. So she she opens the door and this guy immediately is like
Yeah.
gonna kill her.
Yeah, she's gonna slam the door, and then he pulls out a knife, and he's gonna
pulls
kill
out a
her.
knife.
And then she goes all like, all self-defense Rambo
Oh my God.
crazy, and she goes like, "Do you think I've lived 30 years waiting for someone to kill me? That you're not gonna that I
You think you're
haven't
gonna get me
prepared
up,
myself?"
right?
And she kind of like wrestles him to the ground. She goes for a gun. She goes for a taser.
She starts pulling things out of secret compartments and under tables.
Right? She
and
gets a
she's
pepper
just-
spray and she
My
sprays
God.
him,
And
then she fights him. She
she's-
throws him to the ground.
she's matching him toe to toe.
Right?
And like then she grabs a knife from the kitchen.
Yeah, and she
she
stabs
says,
him.
and she also at this time she had enough time where she called the police.
Yeah, she had because she had a
system.
security system where she just pressed the button and she
And the
said there's
police
an
were called.
intruder. Police were called immediately.
I was
This
okay.
lady was prepared.
Like you said in Talk to Me,
Mhm.
this movie has my attention.
Right? Yeah, yeah. Right here is okay. This is happening. Wow, it's pretty great right now. But I feel like the only mistake she made is so she tells him once she has the knife, she stabbed him. They're squaring off in the kitchen,
Yeah.
knife fight against knife fight.
She says,
and she says the police are on their way. They're
Yeah.
coming, which is kind of like to let him know. So he turns around and walks away through the door.
he runs.
Yeah, I think at this moment when he turned around, she should have just stabbed him in the back or get on him and slit his throat or something.
Well,
That's what you say right
that's
now,
what I
but in the
didn't
moment,
say, but in
yeah.
the moment, I think you would just want to get away from him as much as possible.
Right.
But if she had self-defense training like she clearly did, I think at the very least
Mhm.
she should have gotten herself into a more secure location. Like I don't know how he managed to get around the back so
Yeah, because
quickly.
he left from the front door, and then a couple of seconds she's like distraught.
Right,
Kinda
she's like, "What?
What happening? He just left, but then he bursts through the
in
door
through the
from the back door
Now-
and starts wrestling with her.
Survival tip.
Mhm.
If you're doing something at your front door, like Halloween or anything, all your other doors should be locked.
Yeah.
Like if your attention is going to be grabbed for any period of
That's
time.
that's a thing that I've seen, and also kind of like a thing in the U.S. maybe that people don't seem to lock their doors. I see it in movies a lot, and like in movies, is that not a thing?
I mean,
People don't lock their doors. I mean, I always lock the doors every door.
yeah, every door, every night.
Yeah,
Um,
and
that's-
even during the day, it's just locked.
I don't know. Is it?
Yes. Sometimes you go out and then you try to come in and it's locked. You know why?
That's true.
The door is open, locked.
That's true. I'll go out and like check on the goats or something,
Yeah.
and I'll come back. The
And-
doors are all locked.
Yeah. Survival tip number 2: lock all your doors. Doesn't matter if it's during the day.
me.
Yeah, just lock them. You don't know. You don't know who's out there. You don't know if a goat wants to come in. Drink some milk.
Sweetie, you're gonna fall. I'm
That's-
gonna move this pillow for him.
That's all you have to do. Just lock the doors.
Well, I do see your point, but so survival tip: lock all your doors and windows.
Mhm.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah. So he bursts in and he kills her.
Yeah. She fights. They fight it out, but ultimately he overpowers her and he wins. And right when she was going for she had a taser hidden,
Yeah.
kind of like in the stairs, something like that. So she's reaching for the taser, but he just stabs her until she's dead.
Yeah, it is a fight till the end, and you have so much respect for this character.
At this moment, at the start of the movie, you're like, God darn it,
I know.
she
She was
lost.
the best.
Yeah, you get upset that she's killed.
Yeah, and then it turns into kind of a sad movie for a bit
Yeah.
because obviously Jamie, the main character, her mom has just been murdered.
Mm-hmm.
So they sort of fast forward through a couple of grief things. We meet a couple of other characters. We meet the principal, we meet the chief of police, and we meet the gym teacher.
The gym teacher, which at this point, the gym teacher, he gives out the number one rule in this movie, and I think in life, if you're ever in a fight, right,
Right?
and someone pulls out a knife, you run.
Right?
That's all you do. You are what you see in movies, that somebody busts
Flash.
out a knife and they got like, oh yeah, I'm gonna block it. That's not true. That's not real life.
You're
In
gonna
real
get
life, if you're fighting against someone that has a knife, you're gonna get stabbed.
yes.
You're gonna get stabbed at best, and at worst, you're gonna get murdered.
I mean,
You never fight, even if you also have a knife, you're both gonna get stabbed.
right. Even like just have your friend come at you with a magic marker.
Right?
And just try to defend
Just
yourself.
try to defend yourself.
Just see where that magic marker ends
Yeah,
up.
and just tell this person, okay, you have the magic marker. Your sole job is to mark me.
Your sole job is to mark me anywhere
you can.
And you come at me full force. And I guarantee you went.
He's gonna mark.
He's gonna mark you like crazy.
Yeah, he's gonna mark vital organs.
Yes. Now, that's why if you're ever in a knife fight, it
ain't a fight. You better be good at running.
Yeah, I mean, it's just best to avoid it at all costs.
Just run away.
At all costs. The other thing he said is like, if you're in a knife fight, just avoid the knife. And it's like, okay.
He said like, what is it? He said like, dodge the knife, keep your life.
right? And you were like,
dodge the knife and keep your life. It was catchy.
It's catchy.
But before that, he said just run away.
The school district approved of this.
Yes, they did.
It's a useful philosophy, but not useful tactics or strategy at all.
Yeah.
So that's just
a useful tip.
A useful tip. And if you do have your friend come at you with a magic marker, please comment below and tell me how it went.
Yeah, where did he mark?
Where did they mark?
He probably marked your face, your gut, your chest, your hands, your legs. He probably marked everything before you could wrestle the marker out of his hand.
Right? If in doubt, get away. And then think about it. If you have a marker that's at least 3 inches and then the rest is the handle, the whole thing is marker.
Right. The whole thing is marker, not just the little tip.
The tip.
Right?
That's if they came at you with an X-Acto knife.
Right. A little X-Acto knife.
With an X-Acto knife.
Yeah. Unless...
In this case, this killer has a big hunting knife.
Right. A big Rambo type hunting knife with like 12 inches of shiny new blade, kind of like that one we have up there. Yeah,
it is intense. So they're gonna marker the heck out of you.
Yes, they are.
Anyway, so getting back to the movie, she is experiencing a ton of grief. She goes to this old fun fair that has been dilapidated for a really long time and meets up with her friend.
Yeah, which now they're doing a science fair, right? A science fair.
They're like, I love that she comments, why would Principal so-and-so have this weird event at this old fun fair that's like a death trap and is filled with ghosts? She's like, it was free.
Yeah, it was free. We didn't have to pay anything.
School system.
Right, it was free. We didn't
have to do. Right. And I love that her science project, and this is when it gets good, because I didn't watch the trailer for this.
Neither did I. Yeah. We just saw, this movie looks good. It just came out on
Amazon,
on Amazon Prime.
And
let's just watch it.
Which it was just so nice. Yeah. It's so nice to be surprised with something you love.
Right? And she comes, well, I am working on a time machine.
Right?
In a picture booth.
It's the best time machine. It's one of
it has lights.
It has cool, fun lights. Yeah. It has a cool screen. It has a nice little place to sit. Right. And do you remember those photo booths? Have you ever gone into one?
Yes, when I was a kid, I went to a couple.
I just think that they're so much fun. I love the photo strips and stuff. I went in once with a friend. It was just so great. We should go find one.
Yeah, we should go.
Anyway.
See if it's a time machine.
Well, yes. I mean, that's the first reason.
Yeah, that's the first reason.
Second reason, romantic pictures.
Yes.
So,
but first, time machine.
Right. Okay. So she says that she's working on this time machine and she's trying to figure out how to fix it because it was an invention that her mom made, and she's trying to prove her mom's theory.
Yeah, her mom all of a sudden just dropped it and didn't want to. And it looks like her mom was a scientist, but then life happens, and she just works in a blue collar factory job that she looks like she doesn't really enjoy.
Yeah, she doesn't enjoy, and it's unworthy of her.
Mm-hmm.
She's great. So she ends up talking about this time machine. And so Jamie is trying to figure out what happened to her mom.
Yes.
And she actually has an interview with the current sheriff
Yeah.
where the sheriff basically tries to accuse her dad of
Right.
being the
Her
killer.
dad. What was your dad?
was your
doing?
dad?
Where,
It's like-
where was he?
My dad was with me.
Right.
And
But she doesn't say that. She kind of like tells her off in a really fun way.
yeah, she does. And she also says, well, your dad couldn't figure out the killer and neither can you and all this stuff. So it's like you can tell that they've been in the cop business their
Yes.
whole life. She goes to visit her friend in the time machine, and someone is kind of following her.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell that there's something happening, and there's like a couple of creepy people that we see. And I love that the movie sets up that you're looking for the killer with Jamie.
Yeah.
So it kind of becomes a mystery horror, mystery fun. She ends up going back in time only because when she interviews the podcaster.
Yeah. So before this, she has an interview with the podcaster. Right?
Yes. She talks to the podcaster, and the podcaster tells her, well, we were communicating because...
Her mom and the podcaster.
Her mom and the podcaster, because we were trying to figure out who the killer was.
Mm-hmm.
And the killer promised to murder her someday and gives her this note.
Right.
That supposedly the killer left in her locker when the 3 murders were over.
Right.
So she goes to her friend. She's talking to her about her time.
That's probably why she was all this time getting prepared.
Well, we find out at the end, though, that note wasn't real.
Well, I understood that the note wasn't that the killer didn't leave it, but that the guy left it.
No, he never left the note.
Oh, he just gave it to the
daughter.
To the daughter.
Yeah, he gave it to the daughter. Because he was trying to create a reason why the killer would kill again. But that wasn't actually true.
Okay.
So, but it actually, to me, made the mom even more badass. Because that means all these years she's been training, not because she actually thought the killer would come from her, because she was like...
Never happened to her.
Yeah, because something happened and she wanted to be
She
prepared.
trained her daughter,
Yeah. So the killer starts to come after her. And I assume that it's because the killer just wants to... I mean, we know who the killer is.
Yeah.
It's the podcaster.
Yeah, at this point, it's the podcaster.
It's the podcaster.
And the podcaster is the one that, killed the mom at this point. Yeah.
I mean, we already said spoiler warning. It is your fault.
Yes. If you haven't seen it, the killer in present time is the podcaster.
It's the podcaster.
But it's not the killer in the past.
Right. So the killer in the present attacks Jamie, again, because he needs content.
Yeah.
We need content. We're not going to kill for it.
Yeah. We're just going to watch the movies of the people that kill for it.
Right?
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna a movie about a podcaster killing people. Oh,
That's up our alley.
Seems like it's up our alley. We can watch that, and we have the content.
It's so meta. Like,
right? Yeah.
So the killer comes after her, and I love she has a conversation earlier with her friend where she's like, well, why are you trying to fix this so bad? And why is it set to the date of the original murders?
Yeah, and her friend says, well, if the time machine works, I could go back and stop the killer, and that way, your mom would still be alive. Which these are the friends that you want.
These are the friends that you want.
Not like the friends in what's the movie that we were in the Boogeyman. No, don't get friends like the friends in the Boogeyman. Get friends like this lady's friend.
Yeah, these interpersonal connections will save your life.
Yeah.
And they do, because she builds a time machine.
Yeah.
Get friends that can build time machines.
Yeah.
So anyway, the killer's coming after her. She's running away, and she ends up in the time machine, and the killer stabs into the time machine.
Well, it goes to stab her, and then she kind of like does her, she evades it, and she stabs the time machine. And when it stabs the time machine, because originally before this, the lady was like, it doesn't work. I don't know why it doesn't work. The time machine doesn't work. But when he stabbed the time machine works. I really like the timey-wimey time machine way that it travels through time.
Yeah.
Like the time machine disintegrates all around her.
Right. And then forms back again.
Yeah, and then forms back again. And it's kind of like light out because it was dark when she left. It was a really cool scene.
Yeah. Now, this movie is built for aging millennials. I'll just be honest.
Yes.
It was built for people.
And Zoomers.
And Zoomers. But it was built for people who can appreciate the nostalgia of the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And
which they went over the top. I mean,
So
I mean,
over
I
the
don't
top.
remember. Didn't really grow up in the 80s. I was born in 1984. So by the time this movie takes place, it's 87. I was 3 years old. I remember nothing. I grew up. I remember more of the 90s.
Well, it's true, but you were around in the 80s.
Yes, I was. I don't remember almost anything.
So, um, when she steps out of the time machine in 1987, it is 80s galore.
Yes.
It is 80s fantastica.
Yeah. Even the sky looks purple.
Yes, everything is in Technicolor in like the best way.
No
And-
political correctness,
right?
right?
It's so weird. And she initially talks to some random lady who's in a full fuchsia pink tracksuit,
Smoking,
smoking
right
with
next to
a
her
couple
kids.
of children.
Right?
It's like they don't know. They don't know.
Yeah, because she said she asked her, "Oh, what time is it?" And she's like, "Well, 1987." She said, "1987." And she goes, "I know the 80s are almost over, and I haven't tried. What was it, cocaine or crack or something like that?"
Haven't tried hard drugs.
Yes,
Okay.
hard drugs.
So the lady then's like, "You should be in school. Jump in my car and I'll take you." And she's
She's
like,
like, "No, you're a stranger.
"You're a
I'm not gonna.
stranger.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get in a
What if
stranger's
you're
car."
a killer?"
Right?
And
And she
she's-
goes, "Do you think a killer would wear whatever it is that she's wearing?"
It was like this
Tracksuit?
designer tracksuit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay. So anyway, so fully smoked up car. She steps out onto the high school
Yeah, she keeps smoking in the car with the windows rolled up
with her two small children in the back.
in the
seat.
back, right?
Very health conscious lady.
Yeah.
So she steps out. She goes to the high school. She goes to register. It's the best.
But before she registers, she sees the high school mascot at the time.
Oh
which
my
was
God,
the
it's the
most
worst.
racist,
It's the Red Devils.
and the face is kind of like a cartoon of a Native American with red face and a giant nose. It's the most racist stuff
It was
you
awful.
could imagine.
It was awful.
And she was like, "Yep, I knew that was coming."
Right, subtle racism everywhere.
Yeah.
So anyway, so then she goes into the register for the classes, and she's like tries to, okay, I gotta get this backstory. I
gotta get this backstory because they're gonna
Yeah.
research and they're not gonna believe me.
They're not gonna believe
And she
me.
says, "Listen, I'm from Canada, from
Yeah.
this specific place in Canada. They were gonna transfer me. You know, my agent didn't call." And the lady goes like, "Okay, what grade? 11th grade. Okay, this is your schedule. Go."
Right? She's like, you don't need to verify.
Yeah.
Verify. What is this,
verify
Fort
nothing.
Knox?
Right.
Like, they have just no security. And like, so she just goes into class
Mhm.
and she kind of, and it's gym class.
This gym class. She's like, "Oh no, is there any accommodations? I don't do gym." And
Yeah,
she's like,
she's like,
What
what do you mean you don't
What
do
do you mean
gym?
you don't do? You just go
Just get in there.
Get in there. Go to class.
Gimpiest 80s
Yeah.
gym outfit.
What is this? Are we in Hooters?
Right?
What the hell is this?
It's
Kind
so
of like
odd. And then they immediately start playing dodgeball.
yeah, which I didn't know that wasn't a thing.
What are you talking about? There hasn't been a thing since the 80s. Like, I remember a little bit of dodgeball,
I
but
played
like,
dodgeball in high school.
oh my God.
Yeah,
I really wish that I could play dodgeball in high school because I was a champion at dodgeball.
yeah, I remember it.
Man, I was a dodger.
And this was, I don't know, the 2000s.
Man, it's wild.
Yeah, Puerto Rico is different.
It's different. So anyway, so
So at this point, I learned that dodgeball is not a thing no more in the United States.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're injuring kids left and right.
This is a soft ball.
Oh, sweetie. So
I mean, get better constitution. You know?
she meets her mom. She meets all the kids that are murdered who are friends with her mom.
Yeah, and they're the worst.
They're the worst.
These are the type of friends you do not want.
These are the mean girls of high school.
Yeah, the popular mean girls.
Yeah, the popular mean girls.
They were called the Mollies because
Yeah.
they were dressing like as
Molly
an actress.
Ringwald.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
So he doesn't
Throughout the whole
understand.
movie, I was like, who is this lady?
Right.
Who is this lady?
I should have paused it and like introduced you to Molly Ringwald.
Mhm.
At some point, we're gonna watch 16 Candles together.
Is that a movie?
It is a movie,
Mm. I haven't
and
seen it.
I imagine that you wouldn't. You probably
So she's an actress.
yes, but as
Still alive?
yes,
Mm,
as a
okay.
16-year-old boy, you probably wouldn't have watched 16 Candles living in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Probably not.
So, so they are they're having all this dodgeball stuff. She decides, okay, they're not going to listen to me. No one is going to listen to me,
Right.
so I'm going to go to the police.
You know, she's playing dodgeball, and then they hit her in the face, and she starts bleeding, and then the coach starts making fun of her. Oh, so you winners. Too bad I can't say the same about these losers over here.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
Classic 80s.
Yeah, there's no sensitivity. There's nothing.
At all.
You're either a winner or you're a loser.
Yeah. So she goes to the police to try and tell them, I know that there's going to be these murders and like you need to be there. And she knows that there's going to be a party. She's tried to convince the girls not to have the party, which I thought was kind of silly. Like,
Right.
you're not going to convince these kids to not have a party. You have no evidence. They don't know who you are.
You're not telling them nothing.
Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. The movie, there's no survival yet here. Like, there's really nothing to survive. I mean, I guess you are now in the 80s.
Yeah, she survived the attack from the killer and she went back in time and now she's just trying to save her friends.
Yeah, trying to save her mom.
Again, she's doing the correct things. So except telling, the girls like, listen, you're gonna be murdered. You shouldn't do this. That's what I would have done.
Yeah.
But no, she goes to the police. The police didn't listen to her. So then she goes to her friend's mom for help.
Yeah.
And she does this. Marlo, you okay? Yes, he is.
Yes.
Now pet me. So then she goes to her friend's mom and explains it like, have you seen, because she does it to the cop, have you seen Back to the Future? And the cop's like, no, I haven't. Oh, but we've heard it's pretty good. And she goes to a spiel, and then when she goes to the mom, she goes like, have you seen Back to the Future? And she was like, of course.
Okay, no one knows what you're talking about because it's like, well, the people who've seen the movie do. But if you haven't seen the movie, people are going to be confused. So she goes to Lauren, who is the mother of her best friend in her time.
Yes.
And at this time, she's in high school, and she's just in science class. So she just basically she goes back to the front office to, hey, can I talk to Lauren so-and-so? And I know it's an emergency, which is, she's trying to justify getting the records.
Yeah, because at this point, I know this, you can't tell me these records because it's confidential.
Right?
It's like, here you go. She's in room
But
so-and-so.
she's in room so-and-so. What is it? What do I care?
Then she goes like,
The 80s were wild.
Yeah, everything were wild. Traveling in an airplane must be insane. Which is you can smoke.
So anyway, so she goes and pulls the girl out of class. She's talking to her in the hallway, and she convinces her that she is from the future using her own time machine because she tells her about her work that her friend talked to her about.
Yeah.
And I love this character so much.
Yeah.
She immediately goes to the photo booth with Jamie, and Jamie's like, you're taking this really well. And she's like, well, when I thought up the possibility of making a time machine, I knew it was a possibility that somebody from the future could come back who has used it. The killer thing was the surprise.
Right.
That kind of threw me off. So her job throughout the movie is to try and repair the time machine so that Jamie can get back at the appointed time.
And now she knows what's wrong with the time machine because she figured out that when the killer struck it, she needed another metal doohickey to make it work.
Metal connection.
Yes.
Yeah. So she also needs Wi-Fi signal.
Metal conductor.
She also needs Wi-Fi signal. So it's really important that the phone is available or that there's some sort of broadcast signal.
There ain't no Wi-Fi in 1987.
No.
There isn't even no Windows.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So she at this point decides, I'm going to try and prevent these murders. So she goes to that party. And we see this cool van out front that's at the party, but I noted it. I actually felt pretty proud of myself because I figured out who possibly could have killed who pretty quickly. So she goes to the party, and she, of course, is meeting up with her mom and her mom's friends, who they're all called the Mollies because they all dress like Molly Ringwald.
Horrible people.
Yes, they're not nice, mean girls.
Yeah.
And she's trying to save them, and the first one to go is Kimberly.
Yes.
Kimberly's dating her dad.
Right, she is, and she sees her dad, and she, without noticing that it's her dad, she's like, "Jesus, look at that guy! That guy looks pretty good."
Like,
and then the lady goes,
Blake.
"That's Blake." It's like, oh, that's my dad.
What?
Right?
That's not
So
cool.
that's your dad and he's your mom?
Right?
And the lady's like, they're not together. Your dad is with the other lady,
Right,
one of
with
the Molly,
Kimberly.
Kimberly, which is one of the Molly girls.
Of course, they break up and they get together. They break up and get together in the past. And Kimberly immediately breaks up with Blake, or Blake breaks up with Kimberly
Yeah.
because Kimberly is like slept with somebody else,
Yeah,
the guy
yeah.
who's going to become a drummer or
Yeah,
something.
no, the singer from the band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie convinces everybody that she's a psychic,
Right?
which is really funny. That's actually a pretty good strategy to say I'm a psychic.
You're gonna get murdered.
Yeah.
I don't think that. I think being from the future lends more credibility to the story. If somebody comes up to me and says I'm a psychic, I ain't gonna believe them. If
Well, you
somebody
would-
comes up to me and says I'm from the future, so and so will happen, and then said thing happens, and then they come, I am from the future, this will happen. I'm going, okay, I'm listening. But if they tell me they're psychic, I'm gonna be like, you ain't no psychic,
Okay, but you have to remember you're dealing with 16-year-old teenagers in 1987
right? Which who haven't watched Back to the Future?
who are also addicted to Molly Ringwald, who played a witch in a movie, I think,
And copious amounts of vodka.
and Mary Jane
Yeah, and the devil's lettuce.
and the Devil's Lettuce.
Bad levels lettuce from the 1980s.
What we've learned from this movie. So I think psychic was a good call.
Mm-hmm.
So she knows that Kimberly dies in the garage.
So could this be another survival tip? If you find yourself having traveled back in time,
Right?
tell people you're a psychic.
Well,
Survival tip.
I mean, here's the thing.
Depends on the time.
Depends on the time.
Could be now you're going to the Middle Ages.
And
I am
telling
a
people
psychic.
you're a psychic,
Yeah,
you would
you're
be burned
burnt
at
at
the
the
stake.
stake. Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Let's
Just
not,
get a Middle Ages wearing this. Just a cap.
Right?
And a button-down shirt.
all the colors, you'd be okay. Survival tip: you go back in time to the Middle Ages. Do not tell people that you are a psychic.
Whatever you're wearing, turn yourself into a peasant.
Right.
How do you turn yourself into a peasant? Go for the nearest mud
I
pile
was just gonna say
and
that.
throw yourself in
Throw
it.
yourself in.
Look at the
to
nearest
mud and
cow,
shit.
to the nearest cow, and just grab all the cow patties, just rub it up against your face, all over your clothes, tear all your clothes up and make it so dirty that it doesn't look like modern clothing. That way, you're just another peasant.
Yeah, I mean,
Because it's either peasant or, highfalutin rich people. And you ain't gonna pass out as highfalutin rich people.
no, you're not gonna pass as highfalutin rich people. And if they think you're a highfalutin rich person and you don't have any way to back that up,
Yeah.
you're a witch.
Yeah, and the peasants will murder you.
The peasants will murder you, or the nobility will murder you.
Yeah. So
You're gonna get killed if you go to the Middle Ages.
So what would be the survival tip? Just know what time you're at and try to blend in with clothing?
I think that you need to read Juan Pablo's book on how to survive in the wild by yourself
And just go into the woods.
and just go into the woods and just survive there. Avoid people at all costs. Anything you say and do is going to get you killed.
Yeah. Unless you go back in time a day. Then it's useless.
Right. If you go back in time to yesterday,
Or a year.
well, yeah.
Unless you're in, 2021 and then you went back in time to the beginning of 2020.
Oh, God.
There's possibilities.
Oh, there's a lot of possibilities. But if you go back in time to tomorrow, or not tomorrow, to yesterday, watch our podcast about the boogeyman.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just when it came out.
Just when it came out, which was yesterday.
Yeah. And then what podcast we're going to talk about tomorrow.
That's true.
And you can leave a comment in the Boogeyman podcast about tomorrow, this is what you're going to say.
Yeah.
That would be really interesting.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we then said it?
What do you mean said it?
I don't know,
said exactly what
exactly.
what they wrote.
Well,
But then we would have read it.
right? Would we have said it because they wrote it?
They
or
wrote
would
it,
we
or would
say
we have
it
said it because we
because
said
we
it, and
said
then
it?
we read it after?
If we read it after.
Yeah, a paradox right there.
What if we read it after on a previous show and we hadn't published the episode yet?
Yeah. Interesting.
I would be so freaked out.
I would contact that that person that left that message.
I
Like,
would
let's-
assume that we were being stalked.
Yeah, maybe. Could you imagine just through the windows looking in, hearing at everything we're saying, and then going and writing it down as a comment? I mean,
That's a pretty smart strategy for
but
terrorizing somebody.
goats would make a racket out there.
Oh, I know. There's no way anyone, anyone,
Moo would start mooing like crazy. The dogs would start barking.
you would get horribly furry molested if you attempted to reach this space.
Yes.
Like, there would be a lot of animals that would
Just
attempt.
the geese would attack.
Oh my God! It would be.
Yeah.
It would be a
7 geese,
bloodbath.
attacking you from all directions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have 10 geese.
10 geese.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's just about our personal security.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Kimberly's about to die. She's supposed to die in the garage, but instead, she decides to break up with Blake and get with the future drummer guy because the psychic told her he's going to be famous.
Yes, because she told her, and therefore she changed the timeline.
Change the timeline. So she's going to try and make it on the bed upstairs, which is a water bed that her parents own.
Yeah.
It is not one of those. Remember there was 2 different kinds of water beds?
I don't know anything about waterbeds.
Okay.
Where I'm from, only rich people had waterbeds.
Well, when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
my aunt and uncle had 2 different kinds of water beds.
And they were mega rich.
I guess they were. One of them was one of those giant balloon water beds that literally was just water,
Okay.
right?
Isn't that what waterbeds were?
No, there were 2 kinds.
Okay.
The second kind was a water bed that had tubes that were like long cylindrical tubes filled with water, many, many tubes, so that there was kind of like a break in the wave. And it wasn't just a long wave across the entire bed.
Who invented waterbeds? This sounds like the worst thing to sleep on. You would just have back pain and neck pain every day if you slept on a waterbed. It makes no sense. They're not a thing no more, right?
I don't think so.
For sure, because people realize, Jesus, this is breaking my back.
Also, if you don't fill them properly, they can kill you by you get stuck in the center of the waterbed.
Okay.
Like, it was fairly dangerous. And they popped all the time. So my recollection of the waterbed that was like just a one big wave of bubble water, we were not allowed to sit on except on special occasions when we were being supervised.
Okay.
So my cousins and I would
I would have jumped on that bed.
Oh, we did. We snuck in
With a
and
pencil.
Well, the cool thing, you got to learn all about the science of one person jumps in the waterbed and the other person jumps over here. Like, you can create sort of a stable force.
Yeah.
It was really cool. It was pretty awesome.
I like it.
Anyway, so she's on a waterbed. You know that bed's being popped by a knife.
Mm-hmm.
So she's waiting for the guy. She's gonna have sex with him.
But he doesn't like blowjobs.
He doesn't like BJ's.
Yeah.
Or she doesn't like BJ's.
She doesn't like it. He's like, she goes to the bathroom because she has to pee, and it's like, well, if you don't like BJ's, I'm out of here. And she just leaves.
He leaves, not she leaves.
Yeah, he leaves.
He leaves.
She goes to the bathroom.
She goes to the bathroom thinking he's waiting. So then she comes back in, and the killer is waiting for her in the closet and comes out, and basically she thinks it's the guy she wants to sleep with. When he kind of lures her to the bed, I think for a second that they're going to save her. For 1 second I do, and then he
because in the meantime, Jamie, she's
looking for Kimberly
looking for
like
him
crazy.
and screaming and looking for her like crazy to save her.
Yeah.
Because she went to a garage, because in the story it says that
She was killed in the
was
garage.
killed in the garage. So after she goes to the garage and she's not there, she's like, oh, I changed it.
Yeah. So then he plunges the knife into her stomach and he stabs her 16 times, and the waterbed gets cut.
Yeah, and he cuts the waterbed a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then she breaks into the room and she sees the body and everybody screams. And
Everybody screams, and that's
she did nothing. She just changed where she got killed.
Now, at some point in the story, she starts to question whether she is changing the timeline for the future. And I love that they fast forward to the future, to where she came from, to see what's going on with those characters. Her friend is trying to repair the time machine on that end. And the podcaster, who we don't know is the killer at this point, comes to see her and tells her that he has new memories of Kimberly being killed upstairs and being killed, but he
Yeah,
has like
he's like,
evidence of it being killed in the basement.
no, he doesn't have the evidence. He has the evidence that she was killed out upstairs, and then he says, "But I distinctly remember that she was killed in the
Right.
in the garage."
Yeah.
But no, why would I remember that differently? And then she explains that it's a timey-wimey thing.
Timey-wimey stuff.
Yeah, timey-wimey stuff that she's in the past. And then he asks her for pictures, and they see the picture that
Of
he
Jamie.
took in the party.
Yes. Now they not only see a picture of Jamie, but they see a picture of the body of Kimberly, and there's this little note that's written on the side of the waterbed from Jamie, and it says, "Stab the machine," or
Yeah,
something.
stab the machine.
J. And they all thought it was like this demonic symbol,
rune.
and it's just J.
Yeah,
It
for
was
Jamie.
For Jamie.
Yeah, and she figured out, oh, I need another metal conductor for it to work.
Right. So I would be pretty suspicious of the podcaster guy if I was her friend and I was repairing the time machine.
Why? At this point, I didn't suspect him of anything. He's just a podcaster, he's just looking for content. His father is, a Pulitzer or something like that.
Pulitzer Prize winning reporter.
And he's just, he's just investigating.
I guess, but...
At this point, I didn't suspect nothing from this guy.
Okay. All right.
But survival tip, I guess, trust no one.
I guess that's true.
That's a survival tip in this situation.
Survival tip.
Trust no one.
Trust no one.
Yeah.
So Jamie is still trying to prevent the killers. She talks to Pam. They kind of have a nice heart-to-heart in the basement of Pam's house, where Pam is really mean to her mom.
Yeah. And Pam is really into sci-fi.
Yes.
They're watching RoboCop.
They are watching RoboCop. And I love that Jamie has a nice heart-to-heart with her mom as a teenager, saying, "I wish that I had a better relationship with my mom, and you should too." And we know that ends up changing things.
Yeah.
For her.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Nobody wants to know how much you love your mom." like okay.
Such an 80s weird thing to say. Like, I don't know. I want to know how much people love their mom.
Yeah, I guess.
So, fast forward, she's trying to save other people. The next one to die is supposed to be, I think, Marissa.
Yeah, and she's trying to stop it, and
she falls asleep while they're going up to her mom's like condo or something for
condo.
her birthday.
And
they go to a cabin in the woods, which is where she was.
Random cabin in the woods that's, away from anything. And she's like, "This is a cabin in the woods. This is a condo. This is a condo.
No.
Like, this is not a condo. You said we were going to the city.
Right?
The city."
She makes the funniest comments. You've got to watch this freaking movie. It's so funny.
This is another survival tip.
Yeah.
If you're going to be murdered and your friend just got murdered, maybe don't go to a creepy old cabin in the woods.
Right.
By yourself. Oh, she wasn't by herself. She was with a friend.
Right. You have warnings that you're going to be killed or your friends are going to be killed. Your friend was already killed. And then you go up to a cabin in the woods all by just in the middle of nowhere for no reason. And you're not sad or scared. I mean, yes.
That's what they did in 1987. They
yes,
just
that's true.
Party, drank copious amounts of vodka.
We were such nerds at 16. Yeah. I never drank at all. Like, I was not in that crowd.
I mean, I was in bands because I was a drummer. So
that's right. You were cool.
I just drank when, and these were the times where you could smoke in enclosed spaces.
Oof.
That the next day when you sweat, the nicotine, even though you didn't smoke, the nicotine sweat through your body because you were so in it.
Yeah. Oh, just survival tip. Just don't smoke.
Right? Don't smoke.
Don't smoke.
Yeah.
That's bad for you.
Yeah.
The killer
avoid cancer.
Right? The killer doesn't even need to come at you.
Yeah.
Like, you're bringing it to them.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're in this cabin. The boys bring brownies, which I thought it was so funny. They all decide to eat brownies and get in the hot tub.
Right.
And Jamie has eaten 5 brownies.
And they're all
all getting high and stuff, and she feels nothing.
Why do I feel nothing?
And she's like, "What is this?" And she looks at the weed that her friend had.
And she's like, "Well, this is really shit weed."
It's terrible because, of course, now there's like all this genetic modification and whatever they do. I don't know. And like, it was just so funny to me that she's stone cold sober and everybody else is like having this weird trippy experience. Pam and is trying to get with Blake because that's her parents in the future. In Jamie's time, Blake and Pam don't get together until after college.
After college, because he specifically told her it would have never worked.
It would have never worked because we just weren't the same people. And so Pam is like desperate to get them apart from each other, but she accidentally tells Pam that she's with Blake in the future. So of course, 16-year-old her mom Pam.
Yeah. Oh, this is gonna be.
This is gonna be the love of my life. I better get with him now.
Right. Now's the time.
Yeah. So they're trying to make fake pizza out of apples, bread, and ketchup, like you do when you're high.
Mm-hmm.
And she slices open her finger, and she then is like, "It'll be fine, as long as my mom doesn't find out."
Yeah.
And they go upstairs.
And then she says, "You can lie." All right.
Oh right.
I can lie.
I can lie. So then they go upstairs to make up. Meanwhile, some lughead whose name I can't forget, he's one of the teenagers, has kicked Jamie out of the house because they're all high, whatever. So she's trying to climb the walls to get into a window. She sees that the killer is in the house, and everybody in the house is doing different things that like teenagers do only when they're high. Mm-hmm. The only person that isn't doing any of this is the daughter of the police chief, which I think her name is Kara.
Yeah. She's just looking for the pizza.
She is looking for the pizza. So, yeah, we didn't even mention that Jamie promised them pizza, but there's no pizza.
Yeah, they all go inside and they lock her outside because, she's being a party pooper.
Survival tip. If you need to persuade teenagers to do anything,
offer them pizza.
Offer them pizza.
Free pizza.
Pizza would influence me. Yeah. It would influence you.
We could go into the woods to eat some pizza.
Remember how they're like, don't go into a van that has candy?
No, I would go into a van if it had pizza.
I would go into a van if it has pizza.
Yeah, a creepy van comes up and then a creepy person.
Want some pizza?
You want some pizza? I'm kind of hungry. Pizza? What type of pizza? If they go, it's cheese pizza, I would smack them in the face. Listen, cheese pizza is an abomination. You're just missing out. Why would you just make a pizza and only add cheese? Well,
that is your distorted opinion.
No, that is the correct opinion. And if you think differently, you are wrong.
A good Neapolitan pizza
is trash.
Nice high quality cheese.
Trash. No.
Really good, tangy yet slightly sweet marinara.
I'd prefer to eat dirt. I'd prefer to eat cow patties. I'd prefer to lick the goat and the male one, the buck, after rut. That's what I would prefer.
That's highly specific, and I know from personal experience, extremely smelly.
Yes. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know about buck rut.
Yeah.
Anyway. Like a buck.
Yeah. Continuing on.
Continuing on. So she gets into the house, and the killer is there. There's this chase that ensues because the killer has easier access to the girl Heather, who was the third one who was murdered.
Right.
So he starts to attack her.
Yeah.
And there's this whole scuffle.
Right.
And of course, this is so intense.
Well, he's going to attack her, but she wakes up and then they start to fight.
Well, yeah. That's why I said scuffle.
Yeah.
So they scuffle and she falls onto the staircase and he still stabs her.
Yeah. They gets to the room and he stabs her, but then everybody comes into the room and he stabs Blake, her future father, and they're just fighting.
They're all fighting like crazy.
Yeah.
But Heather, she gets stabbed like 8 or 9 times. I started to count. I think it was 8 times.
It wasn't the 16.
So, and then he runs away.
Yeah.
So.
But he killed another one.
But he killed another one.
The wrong one in different order.
Yes. So everybody's like, well, you're psychic. And she's like, I'm not psychic anymore because Jamie now doesn't really know the future.
Yeah.
She doesn't know exactly what's going to happen.
And then she tells, you're the one that was supposed to be murdered. And then she's like, wait, what?
What? Marissa didn't know.
Marissa didn't know.
So are there any survival tips at this point? Like,
I mean, don't be high and drunk, I guess. But, I mean, that's no way to live.
I know. I feel like Jamie's really trying, but for some reason she's not succeeding.
Right.
I think she's
trying too hard.
You think she's trying too hard?
Yeah.
Maybe. I think she's not trying hard enough.
Mm.
I think if you really want to save people, she should have kidnapped them all. She should, like, drug them,
I mean, but
get them in the back of a van.
that's a slippery slope, because if you can't, go into the future, you're a kidnapper.
Not in the future, though.
Yeah,
'Cause
but what if she
remember-
couldn't go to the future because her friend's mom didn't fix the time machine? Then you're just a kidnapper.
I do understand that, but I gotta say, you're either in or you're not.
Okay.
Like, you're in the time to save these people. You're not thinking about, like, clearly, you're not thinking about your time.
Yeah.
So it's the final time for the third killer. And they go to that fun fair that was awful. And it was all dilapidated in her time. And in this time, it's just a fun fair.
Yeah, it's a nice fun fair.
Yeah, it's a nice fun fair. And there was a cute story between her mom, Pam, and her dad, Blake, where they knew that they were going to be together forever because Pam found out after college that she was pregnant after she and Blake were on, I call it the Gravitron, it's called something else in the movie, where they spun around and spun around. They both puked their guts out, and then Pam couldn't stop puking. She took a pregnancy test, and it turns out it was
pregnant.
Jamie.
Yeah.
So, fast forward to the past, to this movie. They're at this fun fair, and they all have a plan to stop the killer because they know he's coming again.
Yeah. So
And-
they're taking the lady as bait.
Yes.
The one that should have been killed.
Yes. And they decide to go into the scariest house ever.
Yeah.
And as they go to this scary house, Marissa has this rape whistle. That's like, and she makes this comment, well, what if I turn on the rape whistle after I get, my throat gets slit?
Yeah. What if I don't have time to?
I don't have
press the
time.
ring whistle?
And
Right?
she's like, you will. We'll be right there. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
So they're all hiding in this. What is it called? It's a creepy haunted house.
Yeah, it's a haunted house, kind of like walk through haunted house attraction thingy.
The haunted house is extremely scary.
It's a
to
really
me.
good haunted house.
It is really well
It's
done.
not like a rando fair haunted house.
Yeah. So she walks through this haunted house. She's pretending like she's going to give somebody a BJ.
Yeah, and
So
all of them, they're
she's like
hiding
her
in between the dummies. They're hiding in costume just to get him.
Now, earlier we met a couple of other side characters. We meet some creepy guy who, everybody thinks is the killer, but he's just a sweet nerd who's socially awkward.
I likes video games.
Yeah. We meet a hall monitor who can't get into the party and he's not treated well.
And in the future, he's
the coach.
He's the coach. Was he the coach in the school
Or the principal.
The principal. He was
the principal.
Yeah.
We also meet the stories of a lot of people that the girls, the Mollies, the ones that were murdered, encountered. And it turns out they've harassed and hurt a lot of people in this town.
Yeah, but they figured this out because once she goes into a fun house, the killer is following.
The killer follows Marissa. And as the killer follows Marissa, they all have a big fight with him and they end up killing him.
Yeah.
And they take the mask off and it's the hall monitor.
The future
principal.
Principal of the school.
And they're trying to figure out why, and
why would he be the killer?
Why would he be the killer? And they find a necklace that he had, and it had the picture of a lady that they went to high school with that they called Fat Trish.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a rumor that Fat Trish had slept with their coach. And so they lured her to a sleepover, got her drunk, tried to question her about it, harassed her to the point that she got really upset, put her in a car, told her to leave, and then she wrapped her car around a pole and died.
Yeah.
And that was his girlfriend.
Yeah, at this point I was like, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the murderer's side.
And Jamie gets really mad at her mom, like, how could you do this? How could you be this person? And Pam says, I wasn't even a part of it. I would never do that.
I wouldn't have never done that. I wasn't a part of that.
I was having a fight with them for a while and I just didn't get involved. And right then,
right.
From the darkness.
Yeah. Comes the killer again.
Comes another killer. And he slits Marissa's throat.
And then while she's falling, she presses
pulls the rape
whistle.
It was so sad, actually.
Was slapstick at its best.
So she falls and she dies. And they start to have another chase, another fight with this new killer. And we realize that we flash forward to the future from where Jamie is from, and he has knocked out her friend
Mm-hmm.
and stole the time machine. And we know that it's the podcaster at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
So he's come back to the past. So he's chasing all of.
I think that he didn't knock her out. I think he killed her. In the future.
Really?
Yeah, because hear me out.
Okay.
He kills her in the future, which was her future, but she has the possibility of changing that future in the past because it's kind of like a stream. So because he came back to the past, in that future he came from, he killed her. But he came back in the past, and then he had everything that happens, which we're going to get into, and then so she creates a different future, whereas the future where she goes to, and this future, her friend doesn't even know. The one who finished the time machine was the mom. That's how I see it. Or that's how I saw it. How did you see it? Leave a comment.
Yes, leave a comment.
Leave a comment.
You kind of lost me a little bit, but I can get the gist and I see what you're saying.
Okay.
So there's a possibility that he killed her. There was a lot of blood.
Yeah. And she wasn't moving.
I mean, unconsciousness will do that too.
We gotta ask, the
showrunners.
The showrunners,
Yeah. Lauren has built a time machine out of the gravitron, and she's told her, if you stand in the center of the gravitron, you will be able to go back in time. But if you get out of that center section, you're gonna go poof and turn into pink dust.
Yeah, pink dust.
Pink dust. So she's starting up the time machine. She's running away from the killer. The killer jumps into the time machine with her in the gravitron as it's going, and so does her mom, Pam. Mm-hmm. All right, so we can't have Pam come into the future. We can't have her in the center, it would just ruin everything.
Right.
There is this epic battle. I mean, I remember the gravitron. You said that it was really fun and you can move around. Yeah. I remember being totally, completely plastered up against the wall and I couldn't move.
Yeah, I remember being able to do that. You can walk on it sideways, stand sideways, or get upside down, all that good stuff.
That's interesting, because I didn't have that experience, and that's why I never went when I was an adult, but now I kind of want to go.
Yeah. I want to go now. My back would break.
Well, I would go. It might be kind of fun.
I mean, yeah, I like my back.
Okay, well, we don't have to go. So we see this fight. It's very, very, very tense. It is a very good fight. Yeah. And eventually we see that it's the podcaster. He also murdered his father on the way into the gravitron.
That was wild.
He just stabs him with a knife.
For no reason.
For no reason. I'm
like all that pent up hate.
Right?
It's like, ha, stabbed him right in the head.
They have this fight, and the killer comes into the center and says he's going to go back into the future. And she's able to finally push him, and he smashes against the wall.
Turns into just pink dust.
Turns into pink dust. She is able to push Pam out of the gravitron after she gets a little bit stabbed.
She gets stabbed, which here's where the movie kind of like loses me a little bit, because she goes back into the future, right, and everything changed. I mean, for the better.
Everything did change.
Yeah.
She the main thing being she has a brother named Jamie.
And 34-year-old brother.
34-year-old brother, and her name is Colette.
Yeah, Colette, right? And she's like, oh, they named us both Jamie? And then her friend's mom just tells, and then her mom comes in and is like, hey, Colette. And it's like, her name is Colette. Which, where they lost me here is that her mom and her dad, they don't remember her. These are pivotal moments in your life. You and your 17, 16?
They're 16.
16? You're not gonna forget this.
So I've been thinking about this we just finished the movie and we've been filming for an hour. I've been thinking about this and I realize, while you are not wrong, I don't remember specifically the faces of people that I saw in high school that I don't contact, that I've never seen since.
I remember the faces of most of the teachers that I had in high school and middle school.
Really?
Yes. And if it's a specific event that,
shapes your life,
you're going to remember faces. At least I would remember faces.
I can see where you're coming from, but I would also say the traumatic experience of everything,
But
you know.
then her best friend's mother, she remembered and she kept a diary, kind of like explaining everything that had happened because she knew it would have changed from the future. She remembered.
I'm gonna call timey-wimey logic because she's a genius.
Okay, so it doesn't affect her.
I don't know.
Even her friend didn't remember.
That's
But it
true.
makes sense that her friend didn't remember because, again, when she goes back to the future, it's her mom, and you see how she's dressed.
It's the day before.
Yeah, but you see how she's dressed. She is not, she doesn't look like she's working in she's a blue collar worker.
Well, she says that she isn't.
Oh, okay.
She says that she's now a biomechanical engineer.
There you go.
She's-
And so she's the one that kept up the time machine. So her daughter didn't build the time
Yeah.
machine in this.
She
alternate
used
future.
everything that she learned from that event to accelerate her own life. So
Mm-hmm.
that affected her forever. Whereas I feel like Pam and Blake, her parents,
It affected them forever too.
No,
they
it-
have 2 children.
well, of course it did, but I'm just saying I can understand how you can forget the details of a face that you haven't seen for more than 30 years, and then your daughter turns into that and you go, oh, she looks similar.
Yeah.
And remember, their daughter's name is not Jamie.
Oh yeah, it's not Jamie.
Their-
They named her son their son
Their
Jamie.
son Jamie.
Maybe after her.
But she wasn't Jamie in the past
Oh yeah,
either.
it wasn't Jamie in the past.
So like all they would have to do is forget a little bit of a face.
Mm.
And she goes, I had this friend once who had this great white jacket and that's how I got it.
Mm.
I don't know what happened to her.
Yeah.
Or I had this moment where I
Yeah,
don't
I
know,
guess.
maybe she was in a fight with a killer in a gravitron machine and I never saw her again. She doesn't know about the future. She doesn't know anything.
Still think I would have remembered.
You probably would have. I know I wouldn't have.
Yeah, yeah. You can't
I
remember.
can't remember
people that you
yesterday.
met yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. So I can sort of see it. But did you survive this?
Yes. How would you have survived going back to 1987? I mean,
What-
or the Middle Ages?
Would you, right?
Yeah.
So harder.
Yeah,
more
it is.
challenging.
Yes, it is.
Would you have stuck to the task and tried to save everybody, or would you have like collected lottery numbers or something?
Yeah. I mean, put some money down on Apple. you
Yeah.
know, buy some stocks.
What's happening in 1987 technology-wise? They had a first computer chip. We know that.
Well, yes, but you know, in the 90s are coming and the 2000s, which is the internet tech bubble.
Yeah, microcircuitry.
Yeah, you can make a lot of bank knowing the Googles and the Apples and all the good stuff. You know, the Netflix, Blockbuster, and then know exactly when to sell because they're gonna go under.
Gonna crash.
Yeah.
So, a lot of opportunity to both survive and thrive, and avoid the killer. So let us know what you think.
Yeah. Leave a comment down below. Send us the comments.
Send us tips and tricks on what you would have done, and let us know some future movies that you would like us to cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today. Be vigilant, be brave, and be the last one standing.
Always.